fancy words I use. Weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
Don't, hey, it's not wasted. What are you doing during television? Or the radio for that matter?
Weekdays at 10 a.m. Did you find out you do scratch off, fella? You don't strike me as a woman who's in there scratching off with her coffee or donut every morning.
Both meal.
Weekdays at 6. Usually I have an answer. I always have an answer. Because I know everything. Because I should be king of the world. Phil Handel. Matches morning from 6 to 10 on KFI. KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. KFI, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. KFI, AM 640. KFI, AM 640. KFI, AM 640.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
And ends the Greek life. I'm Brian Bruman from KFI 24-hour newsroom. Protesters at USC have called for all fraternities to be kicked off campus after one of them was suspended because of claims of sexual assault and drugging at parties. LAPD has confirmed the president of USC's Sigma Nu chapter is a suspect in the case, but he's not been arrested. 6 students have filed reports with the USC Department of Public Safety saying they were drugged after a party at the Sigma Nu fraternity house last month. LA County health providers have begun giving COVID-19 booster shots to people who've received any of the 3 federally approved vaccinations now that the CDC has signed off on the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson boosters. Booster shots are available for people 65 and older, people in long-term care settings, and people who either have underlying health conditions or work in a high-risk setting. Health officials say you should only get the booster 6 months after getting your second shot, or at least 2 months after getting the J&J single-dose vaccine. Court documents say the crew member who gave actor Alec Baldwin the gun that accidentally killed a cinematographer didn't know it was loaded. ABC's Kaylee Hartung says an assistant director had picked one of 3 prop guns that were being used on the movie set.
That AD then proclaimed to the crew the term cold gun, which is the term they use to let the crew know that this is a gun with no live rounds in it. At that point, Alec Baldwin fires the gun, the search warrant states.
Helena Hutchins was killed in a shooting on Thursday, and the movie's director was also hurt. The prop gun Baldwin used, his costume, and several other items from the set have been taken as evidence. The White House is defending the social spending bill that's being negotiated in Congress.
Where these are programs that put in place the fundamental mechanisms in society to deliver on change and relief to people for decades to come.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the measure represents fundamental positive change. She says it's a big shift in the nation's priorities that will help working families. And the last Kmart in California is closing. The Grass Valley store will be taken over by Target, which has been buying up or taking over Kmart leases in the state and around the U.S. Kmart once had 2,500 stores, but there are only about 15 left following 2 bankruptcies and poor management. The first Kmart store opened in the San Fernando Valley in January 1962. SoCal weather from KFI, low clouds and fog in the morning, then partly cloudy by the afternoon, low to mid-60s at the beaches, mid-60s to low 70s in Metro LA and OC, mid-60s to low 70s in the inland valleys, and upper 60s to mid-70s in the Inland Empire. Right now it's 55 degrees in Sherman Oaks, 57 in Culver City, 61 in Brea, and 57 in Irvine. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman.
We do have a crash in the Long Beach area, 91 westbound at Atlantic. That is blocking the pre-left lane. Traffic is backed up to Cherry Avenue. To South El Monte on the 60 westbound Rosemead Boulevard. Back there has the pre-left lane blocked. We still have that closure in the downtown LA area, 101 north and southbound between the 10 and the 5. All lanes closed there until 6 a.m. Monday. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jonathan White.
Save big. Go solar American style with Semper Solaris. Semper Solaris is your local veteran-owned solar and battery storage contractor. Add Tesla Powerwall and be ready for blackouts. We get the job done with esprit de corps and honor. Semper offers new AC systems with a lifetime warranty and new roofs with a 50-year warranty. We hire vets and give back to the community with our Semper Cares initiative. Go solar and declare your independence. No down, interest, or payments till 2023. Get the federal 26% solar and battery tax credit. $500 downloadable coupon. $500 off for military, first responders, and healthcare workers. Call 877-211-5591. That's 877-211-5591. 211-5591 or visit sempersolaris.com. 26% federal tax credit based on eligibility. Consult your tax advisor. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Some restrictions apply. New customers only. Call or see website for details. Expires 11/30/2021. CSW number 978152.
Is finding the right candidate slowing you down? Cut straight to you're hired with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in the same place. To find your next great hire, visit Indeed.com/credit.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, and hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Hi, this is Big Game James Worthy. Before I was a Hall of Fame basketball player, I played basketball at the Boys and Girls Club. So I'm proud to be partnering with Ford to help them make people's lives better in the communities they serve. The Ford Fund is investing in education and community programs in Southern California to support at-risk middle school students. But that's only the start. Learn more about what the Ford Fund is doing around the world today at fordfund.org.
I heard the Federal Reserve may raise interest rates.
Yes, in fact, mortgage rates have already started going up on the rumor.
That's why we just refinanced with Owning. We got a 30-year fixed 2.5% rate, 2.731 APR. And we also took thousands out in cash used for a bunch of other things. Owning made the whole process fast and easy. Wait up! Just wait!
I'm going to call Owning and lock in my refi now.
Call Owning at 8332-OWNING or go to owning.com and lock in a 30-year fixed refi at today's 2.5% rate, 2.731 APR. That's 8332-OWNING or owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation in the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval for qualified borrowers. Call 833-303-2161 for terms and conditions. Equal housing lender.
Call Owning at 8332-OWNING or log on to owning.com. That's 8332-OWNING or owning.com.
You are the proud possessor of a secret weapon, maybe even several. Your major appliances, washers, dryers, dishwashers. When you use your appliances outside the peak hours of 4 to 9 p.m., you're choosing times when renewable energy is plentiful. Now that's using your powers for good. SCE Time of Use Rate, an easy way to make a change for the better. Visit SCE.com/POU rates for more information.
Hi, it's Johnny 10 from Kfi Am 640. The free iHeartRadio app goes wherever you go, so you can bring your favorite stations and thousands of other stations just like Kfi Am 640 with you everywhere. Love podcasts? We have thousands of them, including the largest selection of spooky podcasts on the planet to set the mood for Halloween. Open the app and search Spooky to find Stephen King's Strawberry Spring, Aaron Mahnke, 13 Days of Halloween, and dozens more. iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one app. The perfect paint is waiting for you at your local Benjamin Moore retailer. Find yours at benjaminmoore.com.
Good morning, everyone. This is KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk. Don't forget that you can catch KFI everywhere and anytime on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Oscar Ramirez, and I'm the host of The Daily Dive, a daily news podcast covering some of the top stories making waves in the news. You can catch a new episode of The Daily Dive Monday through Friday on iHeartRadio, and it's ready for you when you wake up. Here on The Daily Dive Weekend Edition, I'll be bringing you some of the best stories I covered during the week. In the tech world, a lot of people are talking about the metaverse. It could be the next generation of the internet. It could be bigger than the impact of the mobile revolution, and many companies are gearing up to make it happen. It's an immersive digital world where you can shop, gather with your friends in the form of digital avatars, and experience a world that goes beyond the real one. The technology isn't completely there yet, but big tech companies like Facebook are working toward that goal. For more on this, we'll speak to Sarah Needleman, tech reporter at the Wall Street Journal.
Essentially, the metaverse is considered the next evolution of the internet. And the difference between that and what we have today is we'll have a lot more people capable of congregating together online. Right now, there's a limit to how many people could be in a single experience without things slowing down. Another aspect of the metaverse is that we'll be able to create our own content. It'll be for anyone, and it's really replicating the real world into the virtual. We'll have a 3D replicas that are very, very realistic of the real world, and we'll be able to recreate
history, for example, we'll have the Colosseum in Rome as it was being built. We'll be able to go on into space, and we'll be able to travel just about anywhere and see virtual replicas of the real world and new versions or new things that we haven't thought of, or just opportunities to experience things that aren't possible in the real world. And so the technology will evolve to the point where it's very, very realistic, especially if we're using better hardware than we have today. And we could use our phones, we could use our laptops, but imagine a future where everybody has a virtual reality headset, and not these big clunky things you see today, but more like a typical pair of eyeglasses or sunglasses. And it'll just be so much more immersive that you'll really feel as if you're sitting next to someone who's actually maybe hundreds of miles away. And you'll really feel as if you're walking on the moon, or if you're in the desert. Maybe not the heat, but you certainly would see things that would be replicas of the real world that you couldn't just see it with the snap of your fingers today, but in the metaverse you will be able to.
Yeah, now, I mean, obviously the possibilities are pretty much endless when you were veering off into these types of things, but there's some real effort, as I mentioned, behind all of this. Big companies, NVIDIA, Roblox, Microsoft, Facebook is probably one of the biggest companies that is really going to put a lot of effort into this. I think Mark Zuckerberg himself said that people are going to start thinking of us more than a social media company and thinking of us as a metaverse company. Talk about the kind of company involvement and how they're really pushing it.
I mean, Facebook just announced the other day that they're planning to hire thousands of people to help it with development of the metaverse. So there's a lot of excitement around it. For this to happen, we need a lot of tools and resources to be able to create this metaverse I described, this replica of the world in three-dimensional, all its beautiful glory and in ways that are creative. And so we're talking about a lot of technology that doesn't quite exist today in terms of the speed, real-time rendering, the quality of graphics. We're sort of there. We're getting there, but we have a long way to go. And we also need to have the metaverse be somewhat seamless in that if you travel from one experience to another, that you could perhaps have the same avatar, because we're going to see each other as avatars, which will be digital recreations. They may look just like we do in real life, or we might be cartoonish and have like a unicorn or a mohawk or whatever. We can change our appearance. Right. And there's got to be some sort of universal system where you can travel from point A to point B with some sort of consistency. Like we have today, when the web search was created, we didn't have HTML right off the bat. I think for a little bit, this bubbled. And over time, we created HTML, and we had a more universal experience from one website to the other. It's basically the same kind of movement. And so we have to build something akin to that for the metaverse. We also have to think about the economics for buying digital assets. How do we secure that asset, those kind of assets? And that's where something like blockchain comes in. And we have to think about safety and privacy and so many other factors. All these companies are thinking about it, the ones you mentioned, and many others, including many startups. And so it's getting there, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, and, you know, as you mentioned, detailing kind of all the technological advancements that we really need for it, and that uniformity that we might need for it. I mean, it's going to be a big boon for the first company that hits it, and for the first company that hits it right. That makes sense that Facebook is pushing hard for something like that. Right. And then, you know, they have all the other Facebook stuff built into it. That social aspect is already built in. So, yeah, definitely I could see kind of the rush to get there. You did kind of mention some of the privacy and security issues that do need to be addressed. There's a kind of this thing that we saw. I keep going back to the movie Ready Player One, and kind of this thing where, you know, people are starting to prefer to live in these digital worlds. And that's a real concern for psychologists and a lot of people. And all you have to think of it right away is to young kids right now in technology, digital natives, right? They're adopting technology so much faster already. If this stuff really fleshes out, I mean, they're going to be growing up in this new technology.
It may be a lot of it maybe blended into the educational experience, and so it will be natural for them, and even into the work experience, and it will apply to everything in our lives, social, work, school, etc. And there is a concern, especially for young minds who, young people, they develop their social skills, the real social skills in person at a very young age. And so if we start growing up or spending so much time online, there are concerns among mental health professionals that we could see problems in that area. And also we have to think about things like identity theft, like how do you know you're really talking to who you're talking to? secure financial transactions. There's just so many factors. And to your point earlier about Facebook jumping in and getting a head start, it's often said that the metaverse will not be owned by any one single entity, and Mark Zuckerberg has said that too. But there is also a race to get in and be a part of it and be part of the plumbing that builds it. And so there is some sense of competition on that level.
Okay, so it's not, this metaverse thing is not just all necessarily fun and games. There's real business aspects to this. There's a lot of commerce that's going to be taking place on this. Everything from us, things that the consumer wants, to businesses as well. One of the experts who talked to said every Fortune 1000 company is going to have a metaverse strategy. This is going to be a place where things like NFTs are going to start just taking off completely. The business side of things are really going to take off.
We can expect a lot of companies to have like a presence in the metaverse just like they have a presence online today. The difference being, and one example I like to use is, imagine if you're shopping for a camping tent. Right now you can look at it online. You may even be able to use AR to sort of picture in your backyard, for example, if you wanted to. But with the metaverse, theoretically, you would be able to physically stand inside it. You would look up, you would look down, left, right, you would see the material all around you. You would know if you're a very tall person whether or not you fit in it and how comfortable it might be and how many you could fit, get all your family in it. You'll look to each other's avatars, but you'll be in real size. It'll be just like you are in real life. And if you raise your hand in real life, your avatar's arm would raise your hand. You would look left, look right, same thing. So this is where it really takes things up a couple of levels in terms of sophistication and immersiveness. And for businesses, that presents incredible opportunities, probably ones we haven't even thought of. And at least one of the people I spoke to for the article talked about this idea of virtual pets. So this would be a business that doesn't necessarily quite exist today. We have sort of little iterations of that in Roblox and some other small initiatives around NFTs.
Going back to your Tamagotchis even, way back in the day.
Exactly, kind of like that. And that's where the blockchain kind of technology that NFTs are built around could make sense. I mean, this could be something we haven't even thought of that doesn't exist yet today in terms of securing digital assets and how you would make it so that you could breed a pet and it would have an original quote-unquote DNA in the metaverse world, and then you could potentially have racing and gambling on these races because it will have this, original code that was created to be for your, three-headed unicorn with purple teeth and sneakers on, whatever. The possibilities are endless, but it's really exciting, and you can imagine from a commerce perspective there'll be many things to buy and lots of fun ways to shop and lots of experiences to spend money on.
It really is pretty exciting to think how far we've gotten with technology, and something like this metaverse is kind of that culmination of all the past things that we've been put together. Like I said, augmented reality, virtual reality, everything, the whole internet age kind of all put together in one. It's pretty exciting to think about. It's a very lofty goal. We'll see how quickly we can get there, or these companies can get there, but just fun to think about the future that way. Sarah Needleman, tech reporter at the Wall Street Journal, thank you very much for joining us.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition on KFI AM 640 and everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we'll tell you about how some teenage girls are developing Tourette syndrome-like tics, and it might be because of TikTok.
Rates subject to change without notice. Minimum loan amount and certain restrictions apply. 50% loan to value and 740 FICO credit score. First lien only. This is a dramatization. Cash out will vary. Subject to credit approval. NMLS 3290. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California financing law license number 6036970. Equal housing lender. Can you believe how much the Garcia's house sold for? I know. Home values are so high right now. I wish I could pull about $50,000 from my home's equity without selling. You can. We just pulled cash from our home's equity to redo our backyard this summer. We used IntelliLoan, and get this, our monthly payments actually went down. IntelliLoan offered us a 1.875% rate and APR with no points or lender fees. Wow, 1.875% with no points and no lender fees. Hello, new pool. Take the number. It's 800-918-6200. 800-918-6200. Or just go to IntelliLoan.com. IntelliLoan. Borrow smart.
Contractor license 1023-790. Kenny, I heard Gettle Air Conditioning has an irresistible offer for everyone out in Radio Line. We do, Zach. We do. Well, tell me about it. Rejuvenation. But the summer's about over. I know. That's why the time is now.
You're going to have to explain that. If you have electric heat, your heater is just your air conditioner running backwards all winter. You're saying it needs some refreshment? Yeah, and if you have gas heat, now is the time to make sure your AC is in tip-top shape and restored to factory specs so that you can turn it on with confidence when the desert heat returns in a couple of months. Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. How much? Just $129. That's a great deal. Great deals are what I'm known for, Zach. Really? I thought you was mostly known for having a dog named Safe. Well, that's it. Yell. Goetcl. Davey said to say hello, by the way.
Hey, it's Neil Silvedra. New windows for your home bring light, beauty, efficiency. I know this firsthand because the French doors and stunning kitchen windows from American Vision Windows brought some of the most dramatic and beautiful changes to our home. Y'all know Bill and Kathleen's story, right? They had such a horrible experience. When they replaced their windows years ago, they started their own company. Fast forward, 20 years later, they're still bringing warmth, light, and beauty to homes like mine. For a limited time, American Vision Windows will pay the tax plus 0 payments until 2023. Tax based on material only on purchase of 8 or more windows, cannot be combined with any other offer, on approved credit, some restrictions apply. Offer expires November 30th, 2021. CSLB number 778326. Trust the window company my family trusts, my friends trust, American Vision Windows. Give them a call, get that free estimate, 888-226-9908. That's 888-226-9908, or visit AmericanVisionWindows.com.
Yes, I know. I have a calming demeanor. You know, when it's your job, basically, to push people beyond their comfort zones, it's good to make them feel as safe as possible. Like an open-heart surgeon for your home. You'll do fine. No worries. We got it.
Home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer, this morning at 9 on KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
This is KFI AM 640. I'm Oscar Ramirez, and you're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition. Another interesting story that's been turning up in doctors' offices where teen girls are exhibiting sudden and severe physical tics. After digging into it, many of the girls had one thing in common. They were watching Tourette syndrome TikTok videos. Most of these teens had also previously been diagnosed with anxiety or depression, but girls with tics are rare, and these teens had a high number of them. For more on how social media might be a part of this, we'll speak to Julie Jargon, family and tech columnist at the Wall Street Journal.
In the last several months, doctors across the country and doctors in other countries began noticing that a lot of teenage girls were showing up at their offices with various movement disorders, verbal tics, physical bodily movement that they couldn't control. And the reason doctors found this to be unusual is because it's fairly rare to see girls with tics. Oftentimes, one of the most well-known movement disorders, Tourette syndrome, tends to affect boys in far greater numbers than girls. And it develops gradually over time, starting from early childhood. There might be some mild tics, and it can kind of grow from there. But this was something that was seeming to happen almost overnight. Girls were just developing tics suddenly as teenagers, and their parents didn't know what was going on, and so they were bringing them in to see specialists who, study movement disorders, and who found this to be a highly unusual situation.
So we're seeing hospitals in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and the U.K. discover some of these things, and we're, talking about numbers, as you mentioned, smaller numbers, but we're seeing I guess in Texas there was 60 teens that came in with tics like this, whereas a year or two before that it was only 1 or 2 cases that they had been seeing. So there was a noticeable increase. And also, to qualify all of this too, some of these teen girls had been previously diagnosed with anxiety or depression, things like that. So it's not like just out of the blue somebody is developing these things. They are people, teens that have other issues as well.
Right, and some of the doctors I spoke to said that people that have some underlying mental health issues, specifically anxiety, depression, might be more prone to developing these kind of tics. That's just a similarity that they noticed across the board. What really struck them, though, was how similar their patients' tics were to the tics they were seeing in other patients, both in their own practices and at other hospitals where they were conferring with other doctors. And they started to, question their patients, as they were taking their history. Some of the patients offered that they had been watching TikTok videos of people displaying tics recently before their tics started showing up. And doctors noticed that a lot of girls were showing up saying the word beans, and they discovered that they're this popular TikTok influencer who says she has Tourette's and she says the word beans. So it's, you know, an unusual, specific word that a lot of these girls across the country and in other countries were saying. So that's when they started to look into TikTok specifically and found that there are lots of videos with, you know, now billions of views of TikTokers who are exhibiting the same types of tics that they were then seeing in their patients.
TikTok is a very interesting place. I myself have gone down many rabbit holes, you know, looking at the app, and it's endless videos, right? And I actually have seen many of these Tourette tic videos from some of these people, some of these girls, right? Specifically, I have seen the videos of the influencer who says beans, because it was, you know, such a weird word to say, right? But they're fascinating, seeing people with the tics, seeing how they react. A lot of them are talking about how they just cope with everyday life. But to your point, videos containing the hashtag Tourette's had about 1.25 billion views in the report, but this number had grown now to 4.8 billion views. So there's a ton of videos out there like this.
There's a lot of videos, and if you know that you don't just watch one video on TikTok, it's just a constant stream of videos, and so a lot of these girls were just watching one video after another, after another, after another, and, you know, apparently it had, or at least played into them developing these tics and played a role in this situation happening.
There are some that are casting doubt on this, maybe casting doubt even on these influencers that are saying they have Tourette's in their videos. And researchers and experts do say it is possible to unlearn some of these tics.
That's right. Some of the doctors I spoke with who have studied Tourette syndrome for years, they studied these videos, and they are skeptical about whether some of the people in these videos have the diagnoses that they are saying they have, just because it doesn't look like what they've typically seen Tourette looking like to them. So what doctors are doing now is they are suggesting that their patients receive cognitive behavioral therapy, learning techniques that will help them identify the triggers that cause an episode of tics to happen, different stressors that might set that off, and learning coping mechanisms to try to control it. They say that it is something you can learn not to do, but it takes practice and some careful therapy to get there.
Let's talk about a specific example, because you did profile a girl named Kayla Johansson. She's a 17-year-old high school senior in Texas. And she, as we mentioned before, she had some other issues beforehand, but she started suddenly developing some of these tics. And obviously her parents were concerned. They got her checked out, and TikTok was one of the things she admitted she had been watching, a lot of these videos.
Right, and she said she didn't think about it at the time, but initially she actually was looking for some videos of people who have ADHD, like she has been diagnosed as having. She was struggling, like so many students, during the pandemic with remote school, and particularly staying organized and time management. So she was looking for some videos of other students with ADHD to see whether they had developed any coping strategies for getting through remote school. And she came across these TikTok compilation videos of people with tics, and watched a lot of those. And like she said, she didn't think about there being a connection between her tics that developed after that and watching those videos. It wasn't until she saw a specialist who started asking her about her social media use that she kind of pieced it together.
Now, there's a couple of interesting, I mean, this whole topic is very interesting, obviously. You know, doctors are saying no one's going to develop these tics, you know, watching a couple of videos. I mean, this has to be borne out over a longer period of time. There have been people that looked into, you know, other clusters of these tic-like disorders, mass psychogenic illness things. I mean, they could be related, but you know, these are all kind of just other avenues that people are exploring when it comes to this.
Right. I mean, there could be a lot of different things at play here, but the TikTok video watching was something that definitely came up in a lot of these cases, enough of them that it prompted several researchers across the world to write research papers. And they're still studying this and still learning more about it. And like you said, there have been cases in the past where clusters of people, oftentimes girls in different communities, developed tics and other types of similar behaviors after seeing friends of theirs exhibiting those. And those were always confined to a certain geographic region. But now, with social media and TikTok, it's just, you know, being so big, we just hit over, you know, 1 billion monthly users. people all over the world can now access the same thing, and this kind of mass sort of condition can be spread in a whole new way.
Yeah. And, you know, 1 billion users, and it is quickly becoming the app of choice for teen girls in this age range. You know, one of the big questions, right? And to reiterate again, you know, this isn't happening on a huge mass scale, but just enough to start sparking some interest in all this. What do parents do if they notice, you know, your teen is coming down with some of these things? Obviously, take a break from the social media, ask if they're looking at certain of these videos, and try not to get angry over the fact that it is. I mean, this is a lot of heavy things to deal with if something starts to develop like this.
Right, and you know, these doctors that I spoke to, they said early intervention and the right diagnosis can help resolve these tics sooner. And the Tourette Association of America maintains a list on their website of different hospitals and treatment centers that they consider to be centers of excellence for treating tics. And so that's a place to go to find specialists. I mean, half the battle always, if anything health-related, is getting the right diagnosis so you can get on the proper course of treatment. And in the meantime, doctors say it's really important for kids to maintain a normal routine. Some doctors said that with the return to school, they saw an increase in these cases this fall. And so anytime the normal routine changes, that can cause stress, which can bring on greater tics-like behavior. So if the kid is at school and they start to have tics and it feels disruptive and embarrassing, it's actually not a good idea to go home and then, you know, come back the next day. It's better to stay in school, maybe go to the nurse's office for a little while, you know, kind of let the moment pass and then return to the classroom, because anytime you transition back and forth, it can actually make the problem worse.
Julie Jargon, family and tech columnist at the Wall Street Journal, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition on KFI AM 640 and everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. I'll be back with some more top stories from the week, but first, let's get an update from the KFI newsroom.
KFI, news on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks.
I'm Brian Bruman from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Gun safety rules will be reviewed after a cinematographer was killed by a prop gun on a movie set in New Mexico. Court documents say an assistant director handed actor Alec Baldwin a loaded weapon and told him it was safe to use. LeBron James has been named one of the greatest players in NBA history. The league is celebrating its 75th anniversary and has released its list of the top 75 players of all time. The Lakers star is one of 11 active players on the list. That also includes Golden State's Steph Curry. Nearly 200 U.S. citizens are still trying to get out of Afghanistan. A top State Department official told Congress this week the department remains in contact with over 360 U.S. citizens, and more than half want to leave. The number is higher than what the Biden administration estimated during the military withdrawal in August. SoCal weather from KFI brought to you by Sanofi Pastor. Low clouds and fog and partly cloudy by the afternoon. Low to mid-60s at the beaches, mid-60s to low 70s in Metro LA and OC, mid-60s to low 70s in the Inland Valleys, and upper 60s to mid-70s in the Inland Empire. We read local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman.
Taking KFI traffic, we do have a crash in the Long Beach area, 91 westbound on Atlantic Avenue, crash over the 2 left lanes block, 70 back up to Cary. E-commerce on the 5 southbound at the 710, the 2 left lanes are blocked due to a wreck there, 70 backing up to a pass. And look out in Long Beach on the 710 southbound at Willow Street, a crash there, blocking the right lane. KFI in the sky, hope to get you there faster. I'm Jonathan White.
He says two vaccines to help protect you this season, with flu and COVID-19. And now you can get both shots at the same visit. Learn more at cdc.gov/vaccines.
Sponsored by Sanofi Pasteur.
Hey, KFI! Now, we knew you guys were awesome, but can you believe that over 700 of you donated to Cars for Kids this year? Well, it's not surprising once you hear how easy it is. The process is simple, with free pickup anywhere in LA, no hassles with paperwork, no shady buyers, and no lowball offers, and no pressure. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go to carsforkids.com. Remember, that's Cars with a K. At Cars for Kids, they're going to give you the donation experience you deserve. 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS and carsforkids.com. If you think your dishwasher is only good for cleaning, or that your washer dryer is just for laundry, think again. Appliances can also reduce your impact on climate change if you make sure not to run them between peak hours of 4 to 9 p.m. Because outside those times, there's more renewable energy for them to use. SCE time of use rates, an easy way to make a change for the better. Visit fce.com/TOU rate for more information.
In need of a vacation? Your Catalina Island experience awaits. And now for a limited time, stay 3 nights for the price of 2 at any Catalina Island company property. Book your next vacation at visitCatalinaIsland.com. That's visitCatalinaIsland.com.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable, and serving part-time can help you graduate debt-free. Do you want to stay close to friends and family? The Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving part-time in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want. Learn more by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard, or by the California Broadcasters Association and this station. Till the car market's come down, you need to sell your car before the end of August if you want to sell it for this crazy high money. Give me the VIN.com, America's best car buyer. Sell us your car. VIN.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
KFI AM 640.
An iHeart radio station.
24-hour news. More stimulating talk.
This is KFI AM 640, heard everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. I'm Oscar Ramirez, and you're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition. This week we also saw former President Trump get back into the news as he announced that he will be launching a digital media network complete with a social media platform called Truth Social. With this venture, he seems to be taking aim at everyone in 3 distinct divisions: social media, subscription-based content and news, and even alternatives to internet services like Amazon Web Services. Truth Social could be launching in early 2022, but there seems to be a lot of work yet to be done, as some reports said the site has already been hacked. For more on all this, we'll speak to Kia Kokoeseva, tech and business reporter at Axios.
To be clear, this is all just a quick check for now. Also, whether or not we're going to see any of these pieces live or interesting. But yeah, it looks like the company wants to have different divisions. They want to take on social media, which for different grounds, and his supporters don't feel like the existing company is exceeding him and other competitors. So he wants to take on more traditional formats of media, Netflix, the news channels, all that kind of stuff. And then apparently he wants to also include some more technology-focused segments for the company. So it's a pretty ambitious company, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely. And let's delve into it a little bit more and kind of break up these divisions. So Truth Social, obviously kind of a Twitter rival, it seems like, from things that people have seen already. This is obviously in direct relation to him being kicked off of the social media platforms, Twitter and Facebook. He wants that kind of mouthpiece there again. And then some of the other things, like you said, I guess taking aim at either Netflix and Disney Plus, some type of streaming content platform, news, as you mentioned iHeartMedia in there, so maybe podcasts. And then kind of the other thing, all platforms also keep getting a message out. And as you mentioned, things maybe like AWS and cloud services. I know there was a big, thing going on where he was saying, conservative voices are being silenced and websites are being shut down. So this could be an opportunity there to grow on that side.
As you mentioned, he got kicked off of he got kicked off Twitter, and so...
Oh, man, 24. 2060.
And other conservative folks, there's evidence of that really happening to some level. But yeah, it looks like the app he wants to launch later this year and into next year is going to be, very Twitter-like on the internet right now on the website. And I think just a general theme that you can carry into media screening of different kinds and media channels of different kinds is very much this belief that there's a lot of censorship and gatekeeping going on, and that, if only CNN wasn't so liberal, if only, Netflix wasn't choosing content the way it's choosing it, there's only Twitter and